All right, shalom, good morning. Boaz here, welcome to the covenant. Well, let's talk about a topic that very few are not talking about, but it is the reality of the current situation today. I've been watching, first and foremost, I have visited several communities and homesteads. And I can tell you firsthand how they overall progress. I live on a homestead, and I understand all of the rigors that goes into managing and growing a piece of land with infrastructure on it. When I say infrastructure, I'm talking about pasture. That is infrastructure because it has fence on it. People may not think that is infrastructure or look at it as infrastructure, but it is a part of a functioning homestead, farm, community. You have homes, you have outhouses, facilities, you have irrigation, you have gardening areas, you may have a greenhouse. This is all infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained on a piece of property. Let me tell you, I've seen people talking about, how different communities are run, and the fact that certain people don't have quote unquote running water. First and foremost, do they have access to water? And I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to flow into, and I'm just going to use that as an example. They have access to water. You can't deny somebody access to water or heat. These are basic tools that are needed, or elements that are needed for survival. Everyone as well has AC because it's hot and it's difficult to live in an environment without no AC. But I take issue with people that are on homesteads, quote unquote homesteads, and they've purchased land, right? And they've been on that land, let's say 5+ years, some of them even longer. And yet and still, these same people that will criticize, they themselves don't have access to running water. They themselves don't have access to adequate electrical systems. They themselves don't have access or have a basic functioning home. They themselves don't have access to adequate cooking facilities. They themselves don't run any kind of business or have any kind of real generational wealth to pass down to their children outside of a piece of land with no infrastructure on it, with a father that has no skill sets whatsoever other than working a local job at a warehouse or a Walmart or something like that. None of these people, they have access nor doing any of that, but they criticize others who's achieved far greater than what they have achieved on their land. This is what I'm saying, and I say, I speak from the perspective of a man that has been on a homestead for now 10 years, being able to not only build infrastructure, but finish out existing structures, learn a business, implement a business, run a business. So I understand what's going on. I understand what I'm talking about because I've lived it and I've implemented. But these same people that, again, get up on social media and criticize others, they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything of notoriety for themselves or their children. It is amazing. It really is amazing because, they don't talk about their lack of running water. They don't talk about their lack of heat or electricity. They don't talk about their lack or the fact that they're living in a shack and their children are living in poverty. They don't talk about any of this stuff. They don't have access to a playground on their homestead, or they don't take their children out to local community events or anything like that. Their children don't get to go out and do anything. You see the problem? But they're not going to tell you this. What they're going to do is they're going to point the finger, look at everybody else, without putting their lives on display. It's amazing, isn't it? It's crazy when you think about it. How can you criticize and attack somebody else when you haven't been able to do it yourself? These people, all they did is buy a piece of land and haven't developed real shit of significance on it. Haven't developed any significant or any businesses at all to sustain themselves. And they call that generational wealth, and their children living on poverty. And they're solely dependent. Again, they're solely dependent on governmental assistance. It's amazing. It really is amazing. These very same people to criticize when they themselves haven't been able to produce anything of significance at all. And come to really find out, and what you folks need to understand, that the person that's living on community, and this is by and far true, the person living on community with no running water, but has access to water, lives a far better quality of life than the quote-unquote homesteader that's criticizing them.